Hello everyone, my name is Nikolay, my friends call me Nick, and in this vlog I talk about people with visible physical differences, like myself. And this very first conversation of ours, I'd like to start with something simple and talk about people with visible physical differences treatment by society and also discuss how to handle yourself in public. No pressure. Let me begin by introducing myself. I was born in 1985 in Moscow, Russia. Yes, English isn't my first language, so please excuse my accent and some possible mistakes. I was born with a disorder called achondroplasia. It's a form of dwarfism. A big surprise for my perfectly healthy family, including my older sister. My parents are very different people. My mother is a very determined woman, self-willed, and my father, on the other hand, is a very soft person. And they shared an interesting dynamic during my childhood. My mother taught me to overcome difficulties, while my father was very protective of me. In the early years, both of my parents tried to surround me with love and care as best as they could. But it seems my father has never been able to come to terms with my condition and accept the fact that I needed experience more than protection. He always cheered for me and supported my intentions, but every time it came to actions he took a step back and told me that no, it's not for you, it's too early for you, it's too dangerous for you. And because of that, I often ended up doing some new things for the first time on my own without warning him or actually anyone, for him to only ask me afterwards, "And why did you do that?" He has never been able to fully believe in me, although he's tried. Also, being out with each of them in public has always been very different. My mother taught me to ignore people's attention and comments, while my father got very upset and aggressive towards people around us, even little children. He has been a nerve-wrack whenever we've been out with him, which made things even worse for me. But at some point, my mother made it very simple for me. Little children are honest, and grown-ups are simply stupid. Over the years, I adjusted it a bit and added a third point. Little children are honest. Grown-ups are not that bright. But everyone else is understanding. So when little children see you and scream, "Hey, look!" and point their fingers at you, it simply means that they see something extraordinary and surprising in you, and their reaction is only natural, as every living creature is subject to jumping or screaming when something unexpected happens. At this point, it's their parents' duty to eventually teach them to be polite and not to react to other people's physical conditions. But when something like that happens, I think it's not right to immediately blame children's parents because they didn't teach them to be more tolerable. Maybe it never happened before that, or who knows, maybe there are no one to tell those children that. Everything is possible. So let's not be too quick in our judgment as well. And then there go adults. And at this point, yes, you can say that those people who allow themselves to be impolite about your condition are simply not that bright. But then again, you never know the reasons for such behavior. I simply pity them because it's obvious that something went terribly wrong in their lives that led to such results. It might be some childhood issues of their own, or even some mental problems. Again, who knows? Let us be wiser and not ingest their negativity. And now I believe you'll agree with me that the majority of people you meet every day remains neutral and doesn't react at all. And it's important to realize that most people are understanding enough and polite. Or they simply don't notice you in the crowd. Hooray for the stealth mode. Yes, I'm totally in your face now. When parents, caring parents, are unable to overcome their own fears and fully believe in their children with disabilities or perfectly healthy, they won't be able to prepare them to survive in this life. The world isn't kind to fragile or small beings. You need to forge a strong mental core to live. It makes you powerful regardless of your physical condition. It's a personality that defines you, and it will be eventually recognized by everyone. This core can be developed from your mental strength and positiveness. Well, you see, if I should have started to talk like this right from the beginning of this video, you would have closed it after 30 seconds max. But you are still here. While still in my teenage years, I came to realization that self-confidence not only helps me to live, but is actually recognized by society again regardless of my physical condition. An energetic, strong and positive personality always draws attention. As for positiveness, it is all hidden in tiny details like everything else in life, and one needs to learn how to recognize them and see all that is good. Whenever I'm in public, I enjoy watching people. I don't stare at anyone. I simply slide over them, and some of their emotions might additionally cheer me up. It can be a random smile. There is a dovecote next to my house, and I often see a beautiful flock of pigeons in the sky. Just the other day, I was walking on a street and there was an old homeless lady sitting on a bench and basking in the sun. And she saw me and suddenly gave me a thumbs up with a big smile, and it made me feel awesome, and I responded with the same gesture. Life was good. Small details, unrecognizable from above, can be observed by little citizens and described by them without arrogance, but with humor and intelligence. I heard these words of Mikhail Zhvanetsky, modern Russian writer, when I was 20. By that time, I already left my parents' house, was renting an apartment, studying at university, and working 3 jobs. So basically, back then, I just entered the outer space and was adjusting. And of course, I hit a few bumps here and there, not just figuratively speaking, but also quite literally. Things happen in life, and chances of being hit by lightning or of winning jackpot are usually actually quite equal. So I always try to be prepared for both. Sometimes people stop me on the street and it's impossible to predict their intentions. Some of them ask me how am I doing in this life, or am I that actor from that movie or a TV show, or they just want to shake my hand and wish me luck. But others are negative, offensive, and even aggressive. I'll be honest, I was a victim of physical abuse for a number of times, when things went really bad for me and resulted in bruises, blood, and different injuries. And for sure we'll talk about those situations in the future and what one can do to survive when something like that happens. It'll be a separate discussion. For now, I'll just say that possessing that very core back then allowed me to now sit here unharmed and talk to you about it. I didn't lose my composure during those incidents, which made it possible to react accordingly and to understand what I had to do to get out of it in one piece. Regardless of your physical condition, you always have to be prepared for everything. And it's not something negative that always should be in the back of your head. No, you need to be prepared for some positive surprises as well and learn how to deal with unexpected joy and happiness. I don't have friends among people with my condition. There were a few acquaintances in the past, but that's it. Not that I don't want to, there are no particular reasons for that. But of course I meet other little people every now and then, and I'd like to tell you about a couple of those experiences. When I was 15, I was approached by a girl of the same age, a little person, and she tried to start a conversation between us. But she was so shy and quiet that I quickly lost any interest and we went separate ways. You might say that probably I should be more supportive and understanding, but come on, back then I was just 15 myself. To my defense, I'll say that at least I tried to be polite. The thing is, we met again 5 years later, and by that time she became a completely different person. She was self-confident, charismatic, and so positive. And that time we clicked and spent a few days together and even developed some kind of a friendship. And although her self-confidence was nothing short of amazing, she matured and completely reinvented herself. I remember we were riding an escalator down into a subway, and we were practically alone there. But the one that was going up on the other side was full of people. We were talking, but when we reached the end, she suddenly went all upset and emotional and said to me, "I hate people so much and the way they look at me." And I was surprised that despite all of her visible self-confidence and positiveness, she continued to be bothered by the way people look at her and even generated hatred. I understand it must be harder for women, but you have to overcome it. You can't ingest people's negativity. You need to forge that core from self-confidence and positiveness that will allow you to live freely with your head held high. Now, I've always considered myself as a pretty self-confident guy. I'm social, positive, energetic, but everything is relative in this world. One early morning, I found myself on a train station walking towards the stairs, and for some now forgotten reason, I wasn't in my best shape. I was a bit sleepy and tired, and then suddenly I noticed a figure on my left walking in the opposite direction. And you know how in movies and theater there is that famous woman in red stereotype. So it was a woman in a very long red coat, a little person, but I didn't even realize it at first, and not because of her long coat. The way she handled herself made everything else irrelevant. It seemed like she was flying, moving above the surface. She didn't pay attention to anyone, with her head held high, with an unbelievable look on her face, with such attitude. For the first time in my life, I wasn't even staring. I stopped and turned myself around completely. I've never seen anyone with my condition who would handle themselves with such class. It seemed like I was schooled a bit that day. Developing that core is vital. With it, you won't be just able to overcome some life complications. You will have a chance to achieve everything. It's not a shield, but a tool. Well, I think that's enough for the first time. If you feel like sharing your thoughts on this topic, maybe you disagree with something or there are some questions, please let me know in the comments. Or feel free to send me a private message or follow me on social media. You can find all the links in the description below. Also, if you know of someone who might be interested in this video, please consider sending them a link. Thank you. Believe in yourself, live a good life, don't harm anyone, and I hope to talk to you soon.